Struggling with messy bank statements? Let me show you the easy and effective way to clean the data, summarize the bank statements in Excel. In this video, I'll get you through the basic step-by-step process of the approach. I'll split this video into three parts. So the first part will be quick overview. Quick overview, I'm going to give you the fast explanation of the solution so you first understand what is the approach. In second part, I'll give you the detailed explanation and the formulas and the basic logics behind the formulas. In third, I'll give you the alternative approaches that you can take based on your choices and your case. So let's dive into the video. So here I have the data. So let me open the bank statement, which is in PDF. So this data I've got from the web. This is the Indian Bank statement. So let's understand the data first. This is of 2 pages. Yeah, it is 2 pages. So first check I would do is I would check whether it is a readable PDF by just dragging it. So if it is not a readable PDF, you have to take a different approach of OCR extraction. So now I'll proceed with this approach. Here I'm just gonna convert this PDF into Excel. So I would here I'm gonna use is I love PDF to Excel. So this is an online tool which you can basically use to convert PDF to Excel. You just have to drop down the PDF here and it gives you the Excel, and which I have already done here. So here I have the Excel. So basically after you convert this PDF into Excel, this is how you get it. Here in this approach I have taken an online tool, but I would suggest you to go for an offline tool where you don't trade your data, as bank statements of your clients are so important. So better, as because this is sample data from the internet, I didn't do that. If it is confidential data and you wanna don't trade your data, better go for an offline tool. So you have so many free offline tools also. Something that I can suggest you is PDF24. And let me proceed with the process. So if you see this data here in Excel, you can see the narration which is messed up here. So if you see the PDF, basically here itself you can see the narration which is split into two parts. So basically first I have to go through the tables and columns here. So first you have the date column, particulars, withdrawals, deposits and balances. So this row which is messing up because here itself it is split into two, whereas we don't have that in any other cases. So every row, few rows have one single row. While converting the second, there is possibility that it takes 2 3 rows also. So having this scenario, we have to summarize it into a single row so that we can summarize the bank statement and basically understand what is the transaction that the client has done. So in order to solve this, I'm going to use a formula based approach. So understanding the data here, you have to see the date is the delimiting component here. So basically from the date to the next date column, previous row is one transaction. So same as the second transaction and the third transaction. So date is a delimiting component here. And yeah, so with that uh, concept, I'm going to use this approach and I'm going to use F formula. So basically I'll give you the formulas and I'll just explain you with short. So later in part 2 I'll give you the detailed explanation of the formulas. So if condition, I'm going to give the reference as date not equal to 0. So if it is true, I'll just add G1, which is the upper row, plus 1. And let's say if it is false, just I'll take the previous cell. So when I do this and drag the formulas to all the rows, I get the split of transactions. So basically, this is 1 and this will be 2. So it is 2, 2, and this is 3. So 3 and 4 is 1 time. So same happens to the all 30 transactions in this bank statement. So now I want the count of each transaction. Let's say this 1 is in 3 rows and this 2 is in 2 rows. Same happens to 3 with 2 rows. I want the count of transactions. So I'll go for count if range will be the whole range comma criteria. So I'll drag the same formula to all rows. So basically I got the count of transaction for 1 and 2, and so here I have 4 rows for 5. So now I have the transaction split, I have the count of rows, and now I have to just use offset formula, having the first row of narration as a reference, and let me give the rows as 0, columns as 0, height as the number of transactions, comma which can be 1. So 0 is nothing, I'm giving nothing basically, and 1 is also nothing in width, and h2 is the number of transactions. So this is the formula here. So it has given the stack of formulas from there. Basically, we have given the height as 3. So having this as reference, it has given 3. It has just stacked the 3. And what would I do is, in order to bring this in a single row, I would add concat before the formula. So concat of offset of reference with B3 with having rows and columns 0 and width also 1. Basically 1 is also considered as nothing, the same cell, and H1 as 3, which is referenced from here. I get the narration in one cell. So I'll just auto fit. And now I want this formula in every date. As the date is the delimiter, I'll just copy this, filter the dates only and remove the blanks in first column, and just paste all the formula. So now basically I have just summarized the data here. Now what I can do is I'll just hide these formulas and also this narration, and I don't have this nothing in this column, so I'll just copy this, open a new sheet, just paste it here, and I'll bring the narration and just small data cleaning. Yeah, I can just change the format. I prefer Calibri. Yeah, this is so. Here I got the bank statement summarized. Yeah, it's done. So basically, we're done with the part one. I've just taken the data and I have converted into Excel, and I have used formulas such as if and countif and plus concat with offset. So these are the four formulas I have used, and basically basic data cleaning work I have done. So with that, I have just summarized here. So further summarizing, you can just put a pivot or add a remark column, and you can basically continue with the summary process. Who wants to know furthermore? Let's move on to the part two. In part two, I'm going to just explain you how this formula works. So if you see, the first formula that I've used here is if. Let me explain syntax wise. So the first is logical test. If condition, the logic is the first thing. So a2 is not equal to 0, which means a2 is having a value. Not equal to 0 is like it has a value. So as it has a value, g1 plus 1, the upper row plus 1, and if it has 0, it has to just take the upper value plus 1 or the upper value. So here, as because it has a value and our delimiting component is the date, we get plus 1. So basically this will be 0, which is no transaction, and this will be plus 1. And here if you come, this is a narration that belongs to the upper transaction. So based on this formula, as this component it is equal to 0, it is just taking the values from the upper component, which is g2, so which happens to this row also. But when it comes to the 2, if you see, this is not equal to 0, so it obviously takes the g4 column plus 1, so which is going to form 2. So I hope you understand this if condition and the logic behind this. So based on this, I'll be splitting transaction 1, transaction 2, and transaction 3. So the next one is COUNTIF. Now I have the split of transactions. Now I want to know the count of transactions so that I know the number of rows that has to be appended to one cell. So it is just COUNTIF formula where I have to give the range. So that will be G is to G, the whole range, comma criteria will be 1. So just give me the count of how many 1 is there. So once I got this done, I'll get the count. So next thing is offset formula. So let me just remove this concat, I mean formula. So offset, you have to give the reference, nothing but the start cell is the reference cell. So reference is B2, comma, rows. See, basically, offset formula works like you have to give a specific reference. From that reference, how many rows, columns, height, or width you want to expand the range. Basically, offset, you're declaring the range you want to select. So here I don't, I'll better briefly explain you how offset summary, offset formula works. Let me create a data basically 1, 2, and 3. So 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if I give offset formula and give reference as 1, comma, let's give row as 1 and column as 0, comma, height as 1 and width as 1. So basically, as the return value is 4, let me explain you what is happening here. As because I've given the D4 as a reference and row as 1, this range is just went down to one row, which is 4. And my column is 0, so it doesn't go to the next column. It is 0, it stays in the fourth column. And then fourth column is nothing but the value 4, I mean D5. And height cannot be 0 because by base value it is 1 and width is also 1, so it gives me 4. Let's see if I give 1 for all. So the array has given me 5. So basically the row is 1, so it went down 1, and the column is 1, so it went to the column, next column 1, and as the height and width is 1 1. So let's do another thing. We can increase the height by 2 and width by 2. So basically now rows and columns are moving components where height and widths are expanding components. So I have got an array. So basically 5, 6, 8, 9, which is 5, 6, 8, 9. So what has happened is 1 is referring to the first going down by 1, and then column is getting the next column by 1, so it is right now it is in 5, and height is expansion by 8, so it will come down 2 for 2 rows, and then width will go for 2. So if I just alter here by 1, whereas width will not move, only from 5 it has to go to 5 and 8, the result will be 5 and 8. So this is how the offset formula works. You have to try it once so that you better understand it. So the simple trick I want to give here is, or the understanding that I have to clarify here is, rows and columns can be 0 and 0, but height and width can always be 1 and 1. It can't be 0. So let me continue to this formula. So where we will give offset, the reference will be the starting cell, which is the narration of the first cell, comma, rows can be 0. I don't want to move it. I don't want it to move it in the columns also, but I want the height to be 3 times down because the transaction is 3 times there. I want to give the height as 3, which is referring to the H2 cell, and the width will be, I don't want any additional columns, so that the width will be 1 by default, and I can close, which gives me the stacking of the rows here. So the next thing is I want it all in one cell. So concat is nothing complex, just appending everything in that. So I can just give you an explanation in the second cell. Concat of all this will give me everything in a single row. So basically it has given me all in a single row. So it is just a combination of formula, which is a very additional usage of formulas. So just concat of offset, just give enter, and yes, it will bring the formula. You have to ensure the proper brackets are given. So done. So in part 2 I have explained you if condition and the logics of if condition, and COUNTIF, the range and the criteria, with offset and concat formulas with detailed explaining offset. So that's it. So continuing with part three, so let's discuss about the approaches, other approaches that we can take in order to do the same task. So basically, me myself putting it into the same position of I have to prepare the bank statements. I see an article. I would probably try to get the information from the client for financial preparations or anything to understand from the bank statements for audit purposes or any income tax computations. Of some reason, I would have to get the data from the client. While getting, I would try maximum possibility to get it as a Excel file type. Getting Excel file type is a direct approach, but technically many banks are providing it as an Excel itself. Even after getting as an Excel, we have to do some sort of a minimal data cleaning work in order to get the data in a precise format or the format we want. So that will be the first approach. And if you're not able to obtain due to some reason and we get as a PDF file, then comes plays right, PDF, either the PDF is in readable format or it is not in a readable format. So readable format, then you will have two options. That is, either you will get the format, you can get it done by an online tool or an offline tool. Online tool, as I shown, I love PDF. Offline tool can be, I suggest you PDF 24, which I know right now. There is other offline tools also. In that, I would strongly recommend going for an offline tool, because offline tool can give you the advantage of not trading your data, whereas online tool, you have to trade your data for the tool. So go with PDF 24 will be my strong recommendation. So when it comes to a non-readable PDF, you have to again go for optical recognition, I mean OCR tools, which is character optical recognition tools. So basically, if you ask me how OCR tools work, if you I can give you an example of Google Lens, where Google Lens basically, when you give an image, it extracts the text from the image and then it gives you the search results or any other thing you have to do with the image. So basically, same program is in backend is called OCR. So but OCR at right now is not at a very good program which can give us so precise information or in a precise format. Even after getting from an OCR tool, the bank statement that you generate through OCR tool can be a bit more complex than what we saw right now. So you have to use a better OCR tool which can be paid also. That will be the solution for a non-readable PDF. And apart from this readable, non-readable PDF and Excel files, there's another option where either it is a PDF or an Excel. You can give it to it in AI, such as ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or Qwen AI, where you can just give it to them, like upload the file to the AI model, and which you can get it summarized, or you can get an responsive answer. If you have a query with the bank statements, you can just specifically ask based on the transaction or the narration or with the name of the person who's making the transaction. So very specifically you can ask it with it, and you can make an analysis also. And even then, there comes a problem that you're trading the data there also. If that is your concern again there, but you want the advantage of an AI, then you can make the AI model. You can download it offline, and basically you can have your AI model offline, and you can try the same. And if you want more in advance, you can just train the model also. You have to know more about that, but technically those are the possibilities you can do that. So wrapping up the video, these are the approaches that you can basically take. I've explained you about the approach that I have taken, and given you the explanation of the formulas and the other alternative approaches. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you.